The Festival of Pacific Arts and Culture may be over, but the sharing continues. Hafa, I'm Sabrina Salas Matanani, and welcome to another edition of Estoria-Ta.
Hafa, I'm Judy Flores, and I live in Estoria-Ta. I've lived in Estoria-Ta most of my life, having been transplanted from Colorado when I was a little kid. I'm a lead for the traditional arts. I co-chair that committee, and otherwise I'm an artist.
Originally from the state of Colorado, Dr. Judy Flores moved to Guam in 1957 after her parents accepted teaching jobs here. She's from the village of Estoria-Ta.
I grew up in this village when it was very busy, and I was just totally immersed in the culture, and it was a culture shock of the most pleasant kind. I really enjoyed my growing up here. We played ball in the streets. We went to the ranch and fed the pigs, and we did errands for our elders, and I watched what the work of the elders and the work of the children, and I really learned so much about the culture growing up here. And I just continued doing my art, and I graduated from University of Guam with an art education degree, and then I went on to do other things, and my PhD is in the arts of Oceania. So I started with my own art, and now I have documented other people's art for many years.
Her work can be seen all across Guam in local hotels and even at the new Guam Regional Medical City Hospital in Dededo.
I had a good art background, and I practiced doing my art a lot, and I did the basics, you know, watercolors and oils and acrylics. I tried everything. I had a period when I did macrame, knot tying, and that didn't last too long. I enjoyed it, but I moved on to other things. The medium that I use nowadays very much primarily is batik, which is a wax and dye process on silk. And I just, although I do watercolors and I use watercolor techniques in a lot of my batiks, I just like being able to have that resist technique, and I think it's very vibrant, and it just lends itself to what I'm depicting, which is the culture and history of Guam.
But her artwork is only a small part of what she's done to promote the island's history. All you have to do is take a drive to the southern end of the island to see and experience what Dr. Flores is doing to keep the culture alive.
In my various careers, I worked for the Arts Council and learned a lot about the traditional art. It was my job to document traditional art on Guam. So I had a very wonderful job, and I learned a lot. And then I helped the people of Estoria-Ta start FestPac, and so I learned even more there. And then when I was retiring from FestPac in 2011, I decided I wanted to do something with this inner street, because Estoria-Ta that I knew was no longer. I mean, people had moved out, the houses were abandoned, and we are sitting now in the old George Flores store, where I worked as a teenager, you know, during summers, and it had fallen into disrepair. So I asked the George Flores family if I could just take over the building, develop it, do what I could with it, and then give it back to the family after 15 years. I figured 15 years, I won't be doing that anymore. So long story short, the family now sold it to the Preservation Trust. So this will be cared for, and we're very happy that this building will be rehabilitated. And the family, Doris Brooks, who's the heir, said, as long as you're memorializing my father in this house, that's all she wants. You know, so we are doing restoration, not restoration, rehabilitation is what we call it. We're repairing for a kind of a traditional use with the hotno as part of the what we do here, and then we have a museum that was based on my research from the book that I wrote, Estoria-Ta. This particular project, painting the, we call it Painted Histories, it was a way for me to try to connect the younger generation with what they had missed, you know. And so the pictures are usually pictures from the 1950s that I recall, images that happened in the houses. So we covered the windows and doors of the abandoned houses with plywood, and I drew the pictures the first time around in 2010.
From there, she asked various groups in the village, like the baseball team and families, to help her paint the homes, and while doing so, shared the stories of what the pictures were about.
So as you go through the village, you see, for example, the flower house, which is a very almost famous landmark here in our historic village, because the bougainvillea flower has taken over the whole house. So we painted pictures of what it used to be, which was the old Polino store. And my girlfriend and I grew up in the old Polino store. So I drew members of the family and how the store was run, and just told the story of the family. And then I asked the family to come paint it. And my girlfriend, who is now a retired principal, Angie, got all the family together one Sunday, and they got together and they painted and they told stories, and she called and said they had such a wonderful time reminiscing and telling the stories. So that's what this painted history is all about.
Through the years, as Caja's folk arts coordinator, she's documented Guam's Renaissance movement, documenting the stories of Guam's master blacksmith Jack Lujan, master navigator and canoe builder Roblem Tiaco, and people like master of Chamorro dance Frank Rabone. Judy has been to 6 festivals of Pacific arts, and each one she's attended, she says, was very special.
We have come so far in the renaissance of our own art forms, and the festival has had a lot of influence on that, because every time we took artists to the festival, they saw something that struck something that they could identify with. That they were Pacific Islanders. They weren't Hawaiians. They were their own Pacific Island people, and it really helped them form their identity. And that's what you're seeing today, is the results of those.
Stay tuned. Estoria-Ta continues after this.